Hey, I've got my 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 logo under my face.
Of course you
I thought it's
do.
kind of funny that you're switched.
Of course you do. Why would you not?
It's well, the funny thing is, it's been like that for a couple weeks
Has it?
with me and Sean. Yeah, me and Sean switched.
Mm.
I just
I haven't
noticed it
said
last week.
anything,
I'm off.
really.
I'm off my game.
All right. I think I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay.
Hello, friends. You're listening to the Making Geeks podcast for makers, families, and geeks.
How did you?
Hello, hello. The is this out of okay? So this is episode 280. So we have that countdown to 300. Just out of curiosity, not that I think we could probably know this off the top of our head. I wonder what the longest streak is of us recording back to back without taking a week off. Because I think we're at. Actually, no, we're probably only about 4 right now,
Yeah.
maybe 5.
This is not the time for that.
No. I could look up at a later time just out of my own curiosity, but it's kind of cool when we have this consistency every week.
Mm-hmm.
But it also presents other challenges because sometimes not enough happens in a week for us to talk about.
Right.
But speaking of, what have you guys been up to this week?
Well, it's my son's last full week on track out from school, so he goes back to school early next week, and we're going camping twice this week. So earlier, 2 days ago, we went camping, him and I, and then this weekend is his first Cub Scout camp out ever. So that's pretty exciting. And then he wanted to play some other games with the last couple of free days he has had. So I spooled up Valheim, and I bought another copy for my another Steam account that I made for him. And so we've been playing on my desktop and my laptop behind me, and it's been pretty fun. He's digging it. I wasn't sure if you could catch on to it because it's a little more complicated than Minecraft in terms of like the build is kind of weird. It's like you got to
It's
use
like adult Minecraft.
yeah, you have to use a crafting table sometimes, but other times you use just the hammer, and it's like, oh, then there's like the forge, and it just gets like further and further down the rabbit hole. But he's doing pretty well. We beat the first boss, and he was all stoked about that, and he got annihilated by a troll, as did I, which is how the game goes. It has a really steep like kind of learning curve. If I to be honest, like it can get pretty brutal really fast. Like, oh, let me take this little boat, row across the water here. Oh, there's a giant tidal wave or a sea monster, and now I lost everything. That's great, but we're having a ball.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
How are you, Donovan?
It has been a super busy week. I was about to ask up front. I was like, has it only been a week since we talked? Because I feel like it's been longer. Because I've been working on my next project, trying to get that done. I'm gonna pull it out here. All right, you ready? Algorithm gods, do you hear that? This is my tribute to you. This is this Lego Ninjago swords that I'm making to appease the algorithm gods. Because I actually had an interesting day the other day. YouTube, the app, YouTube Studio. Because apparently it's only in the app. It's not on the desktop version because I've had other people check and whatnot. But in the app, if you go under analytics, I don't know, it's for some people, but not for everybody. But under mine, there popped up this little bubble that said, see how YouTube recommends your videos. And so I clicked on it, and it's this whole slideshow breaking down my analytics, talking about my thumbnails and retention rate and click-through rate, and like it was really informative, like super useful information. But the first slide was talking about thumbnails, and it's like, here's how YouTube recommends your videos according to your thumbnails. And so they had this 3x3 grid of YouTube videos that YouTube recommends my videos against. and it had my most recent video right in the middle of the Legend of Zelda shoes that I tattooed. And it said, with your thumbnail how it is, would you click on this video? Trying to get you to think about, thumbnails and clickability and things like that. And there was something that I noticed about all of the other videos that YouTube says it recommends my videos against, and they're all Lego Ninjago videos, every single one. And then every time I open up the app and go through that little see how YouTube recommends, it switches all of the videos out that it shows your video being recommended against. But they're absolutely all of them. Every single one is a Lego Ninjago video. And at that moment, something just clicked in my head. And I'm like, now I understand now
it's a Ninjago
why
channel. Yeah.
Every video that I make that is not Lego Ninjago tanks. Like, I think my most recent one, it's an awesome video. I enjoy it. I like it. I'm proud of it. It's at 300 views, maybe? And I realized the reason is because the algorithm has pinholed me to Lego Ninjago. And so it's only pushing my content out to people who are consuming Lego Ninjago content. And if you're consuming Lego Ninjago content, yeah, if a, Super Nintendo, overlay that I did video about tattooing, leather shoes with Legend of Zelda comes up in your feed, yeah, nobody's going to click on it because they want Lego Ninjago content. And so I'm at this impasse where it's like I literally don't know what to do anymore. Like, do I start another channel and pull all of my non-Lego Ninjago content over to a different channel, try and start over and get views and monetized and all that other kind of stuff? Do I I mean, it is happenstantial that my next project is a Lego Ninjago project. But like, do I focus more on Lego Ninjago stuff? Like, I'm so beside myself at the moment because I finally realize what is going on. It's not that I suck at this and my videos are terrible. It's the fact that no one is finding my content if they aren't looking for Lego Ninjago content. And so I'm like, how do I do that? I don't know. Like, I really don't know what to do because I wish there was some sort of like expert I could talk to about this. Cause I'm beside myself. I'm like, crap. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's nice. It's nice, like, finally knowing and understanding what the problem is. And the problem is the algorithm pinholing me.
You finally understand and are accepting of your calling in life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I'm like, it's like I finally have a name for this. It's like people going like, something's wrong with me. I go to a doctor, they tell me what it's wrong, and once it has a name, it's easier to like deal with. Like, it's like that. I finally figured out what it is, what the name is. Now I just don't know how to deal with it. Ugh.
So I probably should have talked about what I've been doing this week first, because what you talked about is probably better for a longer conversation anyways.
Well, it's definitely thought-provoking. And this week, my wife and I, our anniversary is next month, but it always falls right the weekend of Thanksgiving, and her sister is getting married the first week in December. There's like a lot going on this year during our anniversary, so we decided to take our anniversary trip this week. So last couple days we've been in Branson, zip lining through trees and going on hikes and doing like fun married stuff. Super cool, super fun. But while we were out there talking about, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like, my wife is very like hands off with a lot of what I do because she has absolutely no interest in it. But I value her opinion, so we talked about it and tried to figure out if there is something to be done, what do we do? Because it's like I've talked about it before, the God of War cabinet, and all the work that Brett has done for that, and Aaron and everything like that. And because other people are involved in the process of making this video, I don't want the video to tank because I want their work to be rewarded beyond just being able to point at something on somebody else's channel and say, hey, I helped make that. And so one of the reasons why I haven't done that project yet is because I'm terrified that the video is going to tank, and now I know it's going to tank because it's not Ninjago. So, yeah, it's been a long week. It's been an interesting week. Yep. What about you, Sean?
My wife and I are working on a pretty, well, it's not that big of a client order, but it's a very short timeline order of 75 coasters that we're doing for somebody's wedding. I'm also trying to steal some minutes away to finish up the bed frame that I've been working on for last month for my son, which I had most of it done, but now it's like a lot of little things. I'm building the drawers right now. And then it's mainly about assembly and kind of finishing up, but still that's probably another 3 to 4 hours worth of work. And with the time change and getting home late during the week, I'm probably only getting about, 20, 30 minutes at a time in the shop to do some stuff. And then I have to build time in this week to do a final laser review that I agreed to do. And that one hopefully should be the last one of the year. I just got an email about from another company to do one, but I don't think Wes believes me. But I'm turning it down. It's I'm
really
trying. Yeah.
Wow.
You say it's the last one of the year, but most people that are like relying on you to make these, they're on a Chinese calendar, so your year is not going to be done when you think it's going to be done.
Well,
it'll be done when they tell you it's done.
It's so weird. I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but there's like this small little fear of this pool and attention drying up. So I'm like, should I do it again? Because I'm staying, at least I'm doing it, and the other companies are seeing.
Yeah.
But I also want to kind of start shutting down for the year. It's only mid-October, but it feels like a lot of holiday stuff is already gearing up.
Mm-hmm.
Next weekend, I have a Halloween party that I'm going to. Then it's, anniversary and birthday coming up, and my wife's birthday, and Christmas, which we have early to make sure that all my family can make it. So, like, December 17th is our kind of family Christmas, at least on my side. And everything else compounds with work and vacations. So I kind of want to put aside any obligated videos, still make content, but more like on my timeline as opposed to somebody else when they want to actually get the marketing material out for it. So that's what I'm up to.
I mean, Christmas is coming up, so a lot of companies are trying to get that sweet content out to hype their products.
If I got an email from a company, there's a couple of products that I do want to test and use, and if I got an email from those, I would gladly do it. But there's probably 4 different things that I'm looking at for that specifically. Aside from the companies that keep ghosting me, which is really frustrating. But we talked about that last week. We don't need to rehash
We did.
that. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it again when it's when it happens again, I guess.
I've got some interesting stuff coming my way from a company. Comes tomorrow actually, but I'll probably not be able to use it because I'll be camping over the weekend. But I've got a 3D scanner that I'm going to have on loan for like 3 months. And
That's awesome.
Do a video about. But then I can use it on different projects and other things. So
which one is it?
It's one of the Einscan.
Oh.
So what are you going to use it for? Like, how are you going to implement it?
Well, I do want to scan some of my Nintendo collection because I think that would be cool, but that's not pertinent to anything useful. Ultimately, I want to do a VR walkthrough of my shop where I could 3D model a lot of my equipment, or I could just scan it. So I'm going to try that.
That is
see
cool.
if I can import all that stuff in to a VR thing where you can like go up and like push buttons and interact with things and that sort of stuff. And I want to do some scans of some people because it's a handheld one, so you can paint things. You don't have to be limited by like a turntable size or anything like that. And apparently people scan like cars and stuff with it, which is crazy.
I got this one last year. It's a Rev Point. I've used it once, so I should probably do the same thing. Eventually I'll get to it.
Yeah, so it's like practical applications for that would just be like scanning spaces. Because like, since I work for SketchUp, I I can see application of something like that in SketchUp, because like say you have a room, you scan the room, and then you model the thing in SketchUp and literally place it in the scan of the room,
Exactly.
so people can see, you know. But beyond that, and beyond like scans of Jimmy DiResta, which have been all over social media lately because of the Maker Camp and whatnot, I'm like, what applications are there for this?
Ultimately, my ultimate goal, I don't know if you'll be able to pull this off or not, is to have like the the VR walkthrough of my shop, have different props and stuff populating the shop too, but different projects that I've worked on, and be able to like click on them and have an in VR pop up of that video play. You know, if you wanted it to, like an in VR player of a YouTube video that the project pertains to. Yeah.
That's cool, because it reminds me of PC Gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like they had the 3D, you know, arcade room or whatever the theme was for that month, and you could like click on the magazine and, you know, within the room and read the articles, or you can click on the arcade to pull up a demo.
Yep.
I was like, oh, that is so
have
cool.
The CD-ROMs that with them, and it's like a, you know, CD-ROM version of what the issue has in it, and has some game demos. Ultimately, I'd love to have like a collection of makers and their shops that you can, you know, explore. If I can get the in-video part to work, that's like the second stage of it, the second tier. I think that would be pretty sweet. Like, oh, you want to go to different people's channels, so then you can like highlight their stickers on my wall and like teleport to them or something like that.
See,
I got ideas.
That's cool. Yeah.
The 3D scanning technology has gotten really interesting, mainly because, so I held this up before, and for those of you that are listening to the audio and can't see it, this is called a Revel Point. It's supposed to be a higher end 3D scanner, and I've tested it once or twice, and it worked okay, but I wasn't able to really get that good of a scan. But I took my cell phone, and with an app, used a photo based method, and it came out flawless, just with my phone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very precise. I was actually really loose with the way I was taking the pictures, and it assembled them. And I'm probably going to buy a subscription to the service. It was
Polycam?
that good.
Yeah.
I think it was Polycam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to do a comparison video of that versus the like dedicated module. This piece of hardware, I looked up, it's like $8,000. It's like the most expensive single item in my house once I get it. That's inside of my house. This is insane.
There's a video from, you guys know Corridor Digital?
Oh yeah.
He's one of the former guys. He kind of left the company, but he's off on his own and goes by Punisher online. I forget his actual name. I think his name's Clint. He went and 3D scanned an entire mountain range with a drone, and it came out phenomenal. It's amazing that so many people actually don't have to 3D model anymore. It just kit bashing and basically creating environments. Ian Hebert does it. The guys at Corridor do it a lot. Who else am I thinking of? There's somebody else. If you know the guy Beeple, who sold his NFT for like, you know, $60 million. He releases digital content every day. He does kit bashing. He doesn't really do a lot of modeling. So it's how people are creating content so fast. It's simply not being really, I guess, original, but just kind of scanning, buying assets, and putting things together.
I don't know what I can't imagine putting something like that into my workflow right now.
Right.
I would love to completely shift away from kind of what I'm doing. I mean, I like what I'm doing, but I really miss the digital creation side of it.
Yeah, me too.
And then having the ability to put it into, you know, the real world if I want to with 3D printing or whatever else.
Yep.
But I kind of miss being able to sit and create that way. I just feel like at this point in time I can't. There's no time constraint, so I basically lose days trying to do it.
That makes sense. I mean, the holidays are coming up. If you want, I mean, Halloween's coming up, Christmas is coming up.
And
there's
what is
a
that
time
supposed to
constraint
mean?
for. No, I'm just saying it's like if you're saying you want a time constraint on something
No, no, no,
to
no,
force
no, no.
yourself to do it.
No, maybe I wasn't clear what I meant. Is that being no time constraint, meaning that it could go on infinitely for
Oh,
creating the
okay.
content. It's kind of like a black hole of time.
Gotcha. Okay. I wasn't picking up what you were putting down, apparently. So.
I probably wasn't entirely clear.
I understood that. I've fallen into that black hole before.
Well, Wes, I figured you would. It's, I mean, I remember in college when I was actually pursuing this, like basically 100%, I was consumed by it. I would lose days.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what day it was sometimes. When I was working on my demo reel to finish the animation program I was in, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a day, rendering in my room. And if anybody knows what command line rendering is, it's basically not even having windows open, just scrolling text, because I wanted to be able to save cycles and just like this illumination in my room and randomly waking up because hoping that the render doesn't crash.
It's like Neo or something.
It was, that scene is exactly how it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, I get it. I used to hijack my wife's computer and any spare computer and have like network-based rendering, like to crunch different frame ranges for different.
Yeah, I tried doing that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think it was called one I used called Spider.
Yep.
Or something. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's right. Good times.
I made my own little render farm.
And nowadays the processing power is like
infinitely
better. Imagine what you could do.
But now you're just doing 4K, so it's like the same.
Oh yeah.
It's so weird though. I mean, don't you say that the power is so much more, but things take just as long to do. How funny would it be to load up Maya 1.0 and do something and render it out and put it out and compare it to somebody else's work? It might be interesting. I don't think things get that much faster sometimes.
Could be a new direction. if you want to step away from lasers. That would be cool though.
Yeah. With a wife and kids and a full-time job, I don't think I can afford to spend that much time in front of the computer anymore. Not like that, at least.
I get that. Even though I sit in front of a computer all day anyway. I get that.
So, Donovan, I kind of want to go back to a little bit what you were talking about when you were talking about the YouTube stuff, because I think I'd heard you mention that before about the was the slideshow about your channel, in YouTube Studio.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is while you were talking about, I brought mine up, and the slide that says "Do your videos stand out to people?" What's funny is that, okay, so my thumbnail's in the center, and it's of my last video, which was a 3D printer review for the FlashForge. And all the videos they put around it are Pac-Man videos. Does it still compare my Pac-Man video from like 5 years ago as the marker? And maybe it makes sense because of the view count on it. But that's so weird. Yeah. I'm going to have to do a Pac-Man video now to see if I see it, which I already have planned anyways.
See, test it.
I'm going to do a Pac-Man video to test to see if watch it hits 1 million views. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. So like in my most recent video, I keyworded like up to the keyword limit on keywords just to see if it would push out to a different audience.
I always do that, and I don't think it really has that much of an effect.
Well, I read there's this little fine print when you're uploading the video that says that if you like take the time to read it, like I finally did, is that keywords have very little impact on how you're. Why am I doing this?
You want to know why I do it? Is because do either one of you use that stupid vidIQ plugin?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I use the vidIQ plugin. That's supposed to be kind of like some additional info about your videos. It'll show you your view count and just other additional stats that are not natively built into YouTube, at least the same way. So when you type in those keywords, it ranks them. It'll say, okay, this keyword is, you're ranking number 1 through, I guess, like 20 or 25. I don't know what it counts up to, but it starts feeling a little bit like a game. Like, let me see how I can hack this to get, higher appearance rates or whatever else. And it's probably all just junk. I don't know if it really does, because every now and then I'll hit one that says like number 1. I'm like, yes, that means my view count's going to be better. It never matters. It never ultimately matters. At least, and maybe it's the 24-hour thing. Maybe it does for the first 24 hours, but it has a very, very short shelf life of all that.
Yeah, kind of researching the whole topic as I was going through this the other day. I think I realized that it's like there's all of these videos on like how, what you need to do to your channel to boost views, or change this one thing to, increase viewership by 450% or whatever. And after going through and watching a handful of those, I think I realized it's like, maybe the way to be successful on YouTube is to make videos trying to tell people how to be successful on YouTube. And that is the only way to do it. Because, oh my gosh. And it's a lot of it. I mean, nobody understands the algorithm. I don't understand, like nobody does, but it is interesting seeing how content that I put out can be put out by somebody else. That's like the projects could be the same, but theirs will blow up and mine won't. And I'm like, okay, what? So I'll go and I'll do keyword tagging search to see like, what metadata did they put in their video, and I'll scrub their video to see if, it's like, okay, what are they doing that I'm not doing, or what did they put that I didn't put? Like, how is this different? Like, what are we going to do about this? And it kind of reminds me of like when I first started my YouTube channel, like right before I first started my YouTube channel. I wrote a bunch of emails to YouTubers that I admired within the space and said, hey, I'm starting this YouTube channel, here in the maker community. I wanted to get your insight to see, like what kind of things did you do that you wish you wouldn't have wasted your time on? What did you find most effective? Trying to get feedback on how to be as successful as I could be when I started my YouTube channel. And of all the people that I wrote messages to, there was one that got back to me, and we emailed back and forth pretty consistently. And he was giving good tips and things like that on YouTube videos. And I emailed him one day and I was like, so like when it comes down to it, like everything else aside, hashtags and thumbnails and all that kind of stuff, like what helped your channel grow the most? And he wrote back and he's like, well, I think the thing that helped my channel grow to where it is other people sharing my videos. He's like, more than anything else, that is what helped. And I wrote back and I was like, that is great. That's great that you mentioned that. Will you share my video? And he wrote back and said, no. And that is the last time that we emailed back and forth. But I'm just like, it's like I'm having that conversation, but instead of with the person, with the algorithm now. So it's not somebody that I'm like, hey, will you share my video? And then they come back and say no. Now I'm having that internal monologue with an algorithm saying, hey, algorithm, for my channel to be successful, for my videos to be put out, will you share my video? And the algorithm comes back and is like, no.
So I actually think that's the start of a bigger topic, and that has to do with AI. Because we keep seeing the algorithm, but what we're really talking about is something that is probably on the verge of being called AI, artificial intelligence, that is making choices at a rate faster than what people could possibly keep up with. So trying to understand that is probably kind of moot. But it's interesting, I think, in the last, I don't know, even 6 months, or actually say even 2 years, starting with like the deep fake stuff, and then the art generation and different algorithms that are playing. It looks like AI is having a bigger impact faster than a lot of people initially predicted. And I'm wondering what's going to happen next, just because it's almost seemed to be impossible to keep up with certain changes that are happening. and not even just as a content creator, but just kind of like individually. When you see stuff online, it's growing at a rate faster than I would have even expected.
Yeah.
I mean, are you guys seeing similar things?
Yeah, definitely. The quality of stuff that's coming out, a lot of those machine learning AI, like art websites and apps and everything, is just kind of staggering. And the deepfake is getting so accurate, and especially with the audio deepfaking too. There's like attacking from all these different levels,
There is. Yeah. Is there a certain part of it that you're either excited about or worried about?
In terms of the future of the algorithm?
Sure. Just, I guess, impact, just overall impact.
Do you guys know who Hassan Minaj is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but he just did an interview with what are their names? Colin and they're podcasters, and they go around interviewing content creators. Colin and Samir, maybe.
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Yeah, you can look it up, but the majority of the conversation was talking about the algorithm versus the artist. Is because when you're an artist, like I consider myself an artist. My wife calls me an artist. I consider you guys artists. I consider all of us artists in this space. We call ourselves makers, but in the end, like, we're artists. Our medium is just like wood or 3D printing or whatever. It's the same creative process as if we were painters or animators, anything like that. But when like artists create, they create based on their inspiration, based on like all this internal stuff that we then express through our art, whether it's videos or podcasts or whatever. Like the stuff that we put out are expressions of what's inside of us that we have to get out in the world, that we have to make and then show people, all that kind of stuff. Whereas the algorithm, because the algorithm is what it is and it's doing what it does, like, people are changing their art not to express themselves anymore. So they're no longer being artists. They're changing their art to feed an algorithm. They're generating stuff that they think will perform well based on the algorithm, rather than content that's like, he talks about, like, being true to yourself, being true to your art, being true to, the things that you create. And we're at this point right now because on every social media platform, whether it's, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, anything like that, the algorithm controls everything. And so it's no longer this world where people are creating art based on, their unique experience and stuff like that. They're creating art to fit an algorithm that nobody understands. And it's a very interesting conversation to listen to and to, see his perspective on it, because he's been Hassan Minaj has been very up in the conversation, I guess you could say. It, like, anytime he puts something out, it always trends. It always, it always blows up on Twitter. It always, whatever. And so he goes back and talks about that experience of, like, feeding that monster inside of you that just wants clout. And it's like, yes, give me the likes, give me the shares and the retweets. It's cool. I could say that that's what I was geeking out about is that interview, because it is an interesting perspective on this dichotomy of the artist versus the algorithm.
It could be argued that that's never really changed in a way too. Like, you have the different periods of different, art kind of styles, and like a lot of the artists of the day would like come out with art that was within that style. This could be argued this is like rapid consumption is the modern style, or just that sort of thing. So like the audience dictates what the creator makes. Just like back then, it used to be like the church would be the audience that dictates what the creator makes. Like, make all these works of art to celebrate all aspects of Christianity, and they're like, okay, sure, and the Sistine Chapel, all these different sculptures and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if it's really that different in a way.
Yeah, actually, I think you kind of bring up a good point though too, because no matter what, people are going to find a way to succeed with the way that things change. Just got to figure out what that's going to be, and hopefully set yourself up so that you can change with how things are going to be changing in the future. I obviously haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, other people have. I've been really resistant to trying or to doing spectacle, and I think I still will, just because it goes against. I know the last thumbnail I did, I think was, or maybe the one before, was really close to that. It didn't matter because I still think it's not very. I think it's kind of disingenuous, and there was enough other things wrong with the thumbnail that didn't make it worthwhile, anyways. I also just don't want to be contribute to that noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably gonna take a hit for that in views, but I guess that's the case. I'll have to find a different way to.
That's right.
To be seen. I have standards that I kind of refuse to change.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that's just the old guy now.
Yeah.
The 5 years on YouTube makes me ancient. I'll have to accept that.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, this is kind of. I think we're coming up on Internet 3.0. In a lot of ways, I think this is kind of like Internet 3.0. I think 1.0 was probably from, I don't know, 95 to about 98, 99. After the dot-com boom, and after that crash, then Web 2.0 or Internet 2.0. I think we're entering 3.0 with the advent of AI being such a huge factor in things. Because I think it's just going to keep feeding people crap and people keep consuming it.
I do have to admit that I find solace in the fact that when Jim Henson put out Labyrinth, it tanked. When he put out Dark Crystal, it also tanked. But given time, like, it's a classic. Like it was always a classic, but it's like people find value in things later on, and maybe my content just needs to steep a little while longer before it.
The world's not ready for it. Yeah,
it's not ready for it yet. Yeah.
You give those people time to catch up with me.
Yeah. The problem is that there's no old dusty video store that someone's gonna go in and find an old copy of Once Upon a Workbench. Like, man, I haven't seen this. Let me check this out. I don't know how that happens online.
Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe I just need to make some Pac-Man. That'll get me out of my pinhole and put me in another one.
Maybe that's the business idea is, competing with YouTube by we're only showing the old stuff. Like the new hipster version of YouTube. I think before
it was cool.
Yeah, I think that there is a ripe opportunity right at this moment to create a competing platform that does something a little bit different. Our videos are handpicked, no algorithms.
Right.
Kind of like a Barnes and Noble for like employee recommendations.
Yeah, because like Hank Green, do you guys watch his stuff?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, he talks about the fact that it's like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's like they don't need our content to make money. Like before, like years ago, they needed people to create content in order to have content for people to watch content, in order to monetize, in order to like make money as a business. And now they're just so ginormous, they don't need us. And because they don't need us, there's no incentive for them to help. And so it's like the thought of a new platform where they would like need content and content creators. It's an interesting prospect.
That leads us to our sponsor, Curiosity Stream. No. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that's like a lot of the stuff that those other platforms tout is like freedom from algorithms and be able to have whatever long form content or short form or whatever So people are trying it. It's just not sure how well it's catching on.
Nebula.
Nebula,
Curiosity
exactly.
Stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Curiosity Stream is such a weird title.
Yeah, you don't want to cross them.
No.
Well, what are you guys geeking out about?
I'm geeking out about comedy. I don't think I've talked about this. A couple weeks ago, I went to a comedy show to see Gabriel Iglesias, also known as Fluffy, and the show is great. A lot of the content that he did is going to appear. Actually, I think it just got released on Tuesday. He did a huge show at Dodger Stadium, sold out show at Dodger Stadium. So the content that was there was probably a lot of what I saw a couple weeks ago. And it's great. I've been following for a long time. I love comedy. I haven't been to a comedy show in a while, and it was really good. The one thing that I'll say is kind of really interesting is I think it's the first real comedy show where I felt my age. He's roughly the same age as me. We're same age, same generation, and talking about things that we grew up with compared to the younger generations now. And there was kind of a part of the show. He's going through some transitional things in his life, and having that kind of identification specifically with somebody was really kind of interesting and weird. And it really kind of, a big part of the show, and a big line you would say over and over again, like, crap, I just had it and I forgot it. It was a different time. It was a different time. Having to defend things that were different when we were growing up to the younger generation. It was a different time. And it was funny because every time that he said that during his show, I was constantly thinking about my students and the things that they're dealing with, and not in kind of like a conflict between the generations a little bit. With our generation getting called out for things that we didn't necessarily have control over, or societal norms were simply different, and being held responsible for that is really weird. It was a different time. So I think it was the first time that I've been at a comedy show where I started feeling like I had just moved into the next age bracket. And that was a weird feeling.
Huh.
So, geeking out about comedy. How about you guys?
So yeah, and like I talked about the interview with Hassan Minaj and Colin Smear. That's a good one. I'm also geeking out about Andor because, man, it is incredible. Every episode I have been amazingly surprised at how well everything is done, from the writing to the cinematography to the pacing to the tension, and compared to everything else I'm watching lately, it's fantastic. Although I do have to say, I watched Werewolf by Night. Have you guys seen that yet?
No.
It is wholly unique in terms of Marvel movies. It is done in old. It reminded me a lot of Frankenstein's Bride. Mel Brooks.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Not Bride of Frankenstein. It's
Or
all it's called.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Yes, that's it. It reminded me a lot of that because it had the over dramatic, like, lighting on the eyes and like the music and the violence, building up the tension, before it goes whoop and jump scare, all that other kind of stuff. And so it has all of this like classic feel to it, but it is wholly gory. Marvel movie. It's a superhero movie. But it is wholly unique in the Marvel cinematic universe. And I was just like, what is there gonna be? It's not, they don't tie anything else into it. They don't introduce it, introduce new characters or pull in the multiverse or whatever. No, it is a standalone story. It's kind of fantastic. I'm still mulling it over in my head how I feel about it, but I'm just I want to see how you guys I want you guys to watch it because I want to like see how you feel about it, because it is very interesting, because it is so unlike anything else Marvel, especially recently.
I'll eventually get to it.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat geeking out about She-Hulk. I know we didn't talk about it, but I had a good time with the last episode. I thought it was pretty fun. There were a lot of weird ways they like tied up different things, and so
I almost thought it was perfect.
it was so self-referential and so like in the head of people watching it in a way that they almost like, you know how like a lot of YouTubers will like be like self-deprecating or like basically like troll themselves or like pull the rug out from basically remove any ammo from a troll that is gonna say something about a certain
It was
moment.
really funny
They
that
just
way.
constantly did that the entire episode, and I thought it was pretty great. I don't know. I thought it was good. The other thing, I just realized that I never finished Silicon Valley, which was a show I really enjoyed.
I love that show.
I for some reason it just dropped off my radar. I didn't have access to it anymore, and now I do have HBO Max, and so I've been like blowing through the last half of the seasons, and they're so funny.
Some great writing.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else is really good?
Yes. Yeah. You got it.
Our patrons who actively support this show. And they are
Jordan Ripple. His brother?
Nolan, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Nolan. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Derek from Square Splinter, and Clint from C3D Prop Shop. Did I miss anybody?
I didn't miss anybody. Nailed it.
I got it. Nailed it.
If you like to be part of that,
yeah. No, go.
If you like to be part of that awesome group and all the perks that are available with that, including a private Discord server just for Patreon members, make sure you check out patreon.com/makinggeeks.
While you're doing that, come check out our social medias. We're all over the socials, sharing our stuff. So come check it out if you don't already. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you already do. But in the slight chance that you don't already follow us on social media, you can follow Wes at Geeksmithing, you can follow Sean at Geek Builders, and you can follow myself at Once Upon a Workbench.
And you can also check out our website at makinggeeks.com. You could listen to all of our past episodes right there in your browser, and go ahead and check out the shop that has some Making Geeks merchandise for you to check out and possibly pick up. I want to thank you to everybody that's listening to the show, and of course all of our listeners that are here on the live stream with us. We stream every Thursday evening, 9:30 Eastern, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of that awesome group, we always love seeing the side conversation going on, and it always adds a little something to the show. You can find new episodes of the podcast every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player of choice. And if you haven't noticed, this is episode 280. So we are 20 episodes away from hitting 300. And at our typical rate, we'll probably hit that in 3 years. No, we're hoping to hit that sometime in the spring. So make sure that you keep an ear out for any possible special stuff that we might be planning if we could get things and see the stars align. But until that time, from all of us, all of you, have a great week.
See you guys.
Sorry, I was asking Siri when 20 weeks